want to sit next to me quietly? Let's keep it a buck. We can show you where we at. Where you at? That makes it more authentic. Are you feeling okay though in terms of your head and all? We can talk about that. We can move away from the topic and talk about what. Yeah. All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Relationship Thursday. I'm glad that y'all are in the room. Give me 1 second as I transition to turning off the radio and coming before you to have a conversation. Give me 1 second. All right, y'all, we here. Welcome, good peoples. The family that's on Zoom, and then also the YouTube fam that's watching us. Welcome. You're watching me right now. Hopefully, my wife will join us. Um, Let me just kick this thing off, y'all, by saying that God is good. God is good. I don't even know what just happened, but something amazing just happened. Something really amazing just happened. So you see, my wife is not sitting next to me. She's not sitting next to me, and but hopefully she'll come join me. So a moment ago, y'all, my wife, she finished up the Art of Overcoming experience. For those of y'all who are on IG, my wife is taking some sisters through a 21-day process. And we were supposed to be starting this at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and just trying to wait for her to get finished. And so I said, let me go ahead and just start this process and get things rolling, and then she'll join me. We're supposed to be talking about sex and intimacy tonight and rekindling that connection and that type of thing. And so I'm here sitting and waiting for my wife, and she opens up the door, and she's like, I don't think I can do it tonight. And so I see her face, and she's tearful. She's recently been crying. And so I'm like, what's going on? And so she basically alludes to the fact that what the women just did in that room over there, all I'm gonna say is that God be moving, y'all. God be moving. And you very rarely see my wife um come out of therapeutic coach type mode and really be in a space where she just allows the emotions to flow. But y'all, when she came into the room, and she might come over here. I mean, I'm hoping that she does. I said, baby, just come over here and just lean on my shoulder. But what just happened in that room? And I don't even know the intricacies of it. All I know is just based off of what I saw in my wife, like God is present. God was present. And I know somebody got a blessing, somebody got a healing, somebody got a revealing, somebody got some enlightenment, somebody got some aha, somebody got something. And so I'm saying all of this to say that if you do nothing else, fam, you got to put yourself in the right rooms. Put yourself in the right rooms. You really do. Like y'all be sleeping on opportunities that come your way to be able to shift your relationship trajectory, because either you want to believe that it's his responsibility or her responsibility, or I ain't got nothing that I need to do, or you want to be tight with your pockets and say, if I got to pay $1 to get one step closer, I'm not really trying to do that. Or you want to be in a situation where if I got to extend myself to actually turn toward him or turn toward her, I don't want to do that either. I just want to sit on my hands and essentially sit on my ass and do nothing. Get up and get in the room. Get in the room, y'all. Get in the room. I'm going to tell y'all a story real quick. So that just happened. And so I can assume, even though I don't know, I can assume that a story was probably told from one of the sisters that's participating about an experience that she had with us this weekend. I'm assuming. And when I tell you, you talking about the epitome of I'm not doing nothing. I'm completely and utterly resistant. My bag's about a door and I'm ready to leave. But then you come into the room and you meet God in that space. And then God starts moving all up in here. And then a transformation takes place. Yo, it's sometimes, I mean, it's beyond words. One of the brothers that was actually participating came in as a part of the Blamley this weekend to provide some words and even some support to the couple that we were assisting. So for some of y'all that don't know, so my wife and I were trained. I'm talking to IG and on YouTube as well. So my wife and I were trained therapists, relationship coaches, and so of course we do one-on-one stuff, group coaching, and so I'm talking to members of the Blamley on Zoom. All right, it's a room full of folks on Zoom that I'm speaking to right here. But what I'm speaking about is a private marriage intensive with just one couple that we had this weekend at a house out here in LA. And I'm speaking about God showing up in the room to the degree to where one of the brothers who is on here right now on Zoom He actually said, God is in the room. I feel like God is in the room. So I'm just, I really, I mean, it's becoming more and more clear, y'all. The impact that we're not only having on couples, but that we're having on families too. Families are being saved, y'all. Homes are being restored. And it's because of the work that's being done. So we do our part. We're going to do our part. All I'm asking is that you show up and do yours. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. There's a brother that's on here right now that and y'all can watch it on IG. I actually posted the clip, I believe, earlier today. But there's a brother that's on here right now. I'm gonna start calling him Sonny. He said that he and his wife have been connected. And this is based off of going through the King Me Intensive. So if you haven't signed up, fellas, on IG or even here on YouTube or in the Zoom family, get your spot. Go to kingmeintensive.com. This is for men. But he said just in doing his work, he noticed the connection between he and his wife increasing. But more importantly, how his family, his children are getting in alignment or getting in line behind him. You can't like that. I mean, that brings tears to my eyes, y'all. It really does. And so I was moved. And like I don't even know the story, but I was moved by just seeing my wife's face and the way that she was impacted and me reflecting on what transpired this weekend with us doing this private marriage intensive with this couple. Um, you got to get in position and you got to get in the room. Got to, y'all. You really got to. So I just wanted to kick it off by saying that. I hope everybody is well and and everybody is open. Or if you're not open, at least pivot a little bit, rotate just a little bit so that you can actually turn towards being more open and letting the possibility of God, um, of love in. Because it's something that you can benefit from, and it's something that your partner can definitely benefit from. So, all right, let's go ahead and hop right into it, y'all. So I'm talking tonight about overcoming sexual rejection in your relationship, and like I said, hopefully, my wife will join me. I know she had to wipe her face and wipe the tears, and she had like a little headache from that, y'all. I think I was actually on here talking too on YouTube before we and on Zoom before we started. She got like a little headache from all of the crying. But in any event, overcoming sexual rejection in your relationship, and I can imagine too, y'all. If she does come back over here, the tears gonna start flowing again. So be prepared, and then she gonna make me cry, and then y'all gonna be crying too. Just watch if she comes, especially if she tells what happened. But I don't know if she's gonna do that. So, all right, overcoming sexual rejection in your relationship. So, when we think about this whole piece around sexual rejection, there's a number of things that come up in terms of how to face it and fight through it. And so, a lot of folks, I know men specifically, because we've been, I'm not going to even say burdened, but commissioned with the responsibility of pursuing and demonstrating attraction to the degree to where um, we're looking for a a suitable response that basically says, I'm open, I welcome your advances, and I'm ready for you. Because we've been, like I said, placed in that position of doing that, we're often experiencing rejection, y'all. Men specifically deal with a lot of rejection when it comes to intimacy, sexual rejection specifically. And when we think about this thing starts to stack up over time. It starts to stack up, it starts to weigh on you. And I know many men have expressed hesitancy, reluctance around even pursuing based off of not wanting to hear the no. When you hear so many no's, when you hear so many empty promises, when you hear so many tomorrows and then tomorrow never comes, you get tired. You get tired, you get fed up, you get frustrated, and you stop pursuing. And so, what a lot of men have expressed to me is that what they'll do is they'll bury the desire. They'll bury the desire, and consequently, not that the attraction diminishes, but the ability starts to reduce because the desire has been buried. I'm sure that there's men who are on right now that can attest to the fact that, like, I just pivoted and shifted my view from her to my work. I shifted my view from her to our children. I shifted my view from her to my extended family, or the women's league, or the men's league, or the boys and girls club, or whatever it may be. But you can find other things to occupy your time. So a lot of men have expressed that. And I'm also aware in doing this work with not just men but also women that a lot of women have expressed this as well too. When their advances aren't reciprocated, when they aren't welcome, when they aren't returned, when they aren't well received, when there's rejection, when there's a no, when there's a stiff arm, it gets old, it gets tired. And sometimes it's very subtle too. And when I say subtle, what I'm speaking about is like, you find every other thing or every other reason to not come to bed, which is also a way of extending the stiff arm. You create every excuse not to have an intimate moment, like take showers at different times of the day, take baths at different times of the day. You don't dress in front of your spouse, and as a result, like the opportunity seems to evade you. Anybody experience that? Type of one in the chat if you've experienced that. If you've been in a relationship where the opportunity never seemed to be right because he wasn't available, she wasn't available. It's like there's mismatched opportunities, and but the reality is that on a subtle level, it feels intentional. It feels very intentional. It feels like you're doing this thing deliberately. Like you're not really taking me into consideration, and like real talk, like you just don't want me. This weekend, when we did the private marriage intensive, one of the last questions was asked was around what can I do? Like what do men want? And one of the things that I said, I didn't even say anything. I just played a song. And the song that I played was the Marvin Gaye song, I Want You. And I want you to want me too, just like I want you. And so what that speaks to is like I want you to desire me. I want you to want to engage me. I want you to have interest in me. I want you to have an appetite for me. I got an appetite for my wife. I do. A big appetite. And so that's what your man wants from your woman, from his woman. He wants it to be reciprocated. And so the question is like, what's getting in the way and what's blocking you? And then what's the residual impact when that's not present? It's residual rejection. And so when you're experiencing the sexual rejection in your relationship, there's some things that you can do to confront it, to navigate it, and to really overcome it. One of the biggest things that I like to say is that in order to get um, in order to get into any sexual space, um, you got to attempt to connect in the emotional space first. This is one thing that you can do to overcome sexual rejection. Like start with connecting emotionally. Like women on here will attest, fella, I'm speaking to the fellas now. Women on here will attest to the fact that if you can connect in with my heart, y'all seen them water emojis that be like floating around on IG and Facebook and TikTok? It's real, y'all. Connect in there and see what happens. So if you're dealing with sexual rejection, like you can be so steeped in your feelings that you end up blocking your own blessing. But if you learn how to navigate that space and connecting with her heart, then the floodgates open. But you got to be equipped with the appropriate tools to be able to do so. And one piece of that is really you studying your wife. Studying your wife. Put your game face on. Watch film. Study your wife. Know your wife. Know what she likes. Know what she doesn't like. Know what turns her on. Know what tempts and entices her. My wife told me if I do this one thing, I can have what I want. And she said if you do it every night, you can have what you want. What is that thing for your wife? What's that thing for your wife? Do you know what it is? If you don't, find out. Everybody got a button, y'all. And it's not even that I want to push the button all the time. But when you have intimate conversations, when you tap into that heart space, when you get to know them, then what happens is that you get keys that you weren't necessarily allowed to have before. Everybody don't have the same keys. Some of y'all work in office buildings. And depending upon what your level is, you only got keys to certain doors. And so you in a relationship with your woman or you in a relationship with your man, and the question is, do you got the right keys or do you got all the keys to be able to open up all the doors? And if not, you need to go from the basement bottom level to really owning that shit. You do. Get your key game up. Get your key game up. Can you bring me a charger? So that's number one, y'all. Making sure you tap in emotionally to your spouse and you really get to know um, where they are mentally and emotionally. And what's required in order to do that, y'all, is really open and honest conversation. My wife and I, we had a little bit of tension earlier today, right? So it's really crazy. Let me just share with you how days be going. So I just shared with y'all at the top of this live stream that she came into the room crying. Um, Something really emotional just happened in terms of her working with some women, and so somebody was blessed. Share the blessing. My wife's supposed to be sitting right here next to me. She's not, because she just couldn't pull it together, y'all. It was that much of a blessed experience. But nevertheless, earlier today, we had a little moment where we I had this we were supposed to be doing something together, and we had a number of conversations about a couple of conversations about doing it together, and it was a couple of meetings, and so my wife, because of the fact that it was going to be a lot, she said basically, can you do it for me? And so, to make a long story short, I got in my feelings. I felt like it was just like, yo, we had already talked about this. Can anybody relate to this? Like you already talked about it. We talked about it several times, and I actually doubled down on the conversation to make sure because I knew you was gonna be a little bit overwhelmed and you might not necessarily try really want to do it. So I tried to be preemptive and come up with the solutions before, but you agreed to what it is that we said we was gonna do. Can anybody relate? Like your spouse, they agree to something. Y'all agree that y'all gonna do something, and then in the 11th hour, things get changed. Can anybody relate to that? And so I responded a particular way, but me responding a certain way was based off of my perception. It was based off of my perception. I felt like something was being placed on me, when really it was my perception. And then also my codependency. I haven't even shared this with her yet. Um, my codependency that led me to feel like I got to take care of it. And so I was getting frustrated over the fact that I got to take care of it. So all of that was present. But nevertheless, so we end up going back and forth in this tension. And so what I expressed to my wife, we driving home, I expressed to my wife, like, I don't feel like you're hearing me. And and so she said her piece, I say my piece. You're not hearing me. You're not listening to me. And so I really felt in that conversation that she was just trying to focus on me and my perception versus my feeling and the experience, which was, we had agreed to this before, and I feel disregarded. And so we're going back and forth, and so I'm feeling frustrated. I'm driving, and my wife is explaining her piece. But then it got to a point, y'all, where I expressed what I needed, and I did that earlier in the conversation, but my wife didn't hear it. Some of y'all can relate to this too. When you express what you need, what you want, and then your spouse, because the emotional space that they're in and what they're focused on, they just don't hear what it is that's being said. Type of one in the chat if y'all can relate to that. And so eventually, I believe my wife probably sensed that because I said a couple of times, "You're not hearing me." Um, she slowed down for a second. And so what she said to me, y'all, was, to sum it up, I apologize. I apologize. I did not remember the conversations that we had before. And then she went on and on and on. And so I had already expressed this probably about 15 minutes in the conversation. I said I would willingly do the meeting for you if all you did was acknowledge that we had a conversation before, and you're just feeling like, I just can't do it. I'm having three things back to back to back, and it's gonna be a lot. So can you take this over for me, babe? I would have been like, yeah, it's all good. But because I felt disregarded and I felt like, she wasn't hearing me, it created that tension in the conversation. But then when she doubled back and apologized, but then also said that she heard what it was that I was saying, and it actually made me, or I made a decision to step forward and say, I'm gonna go ahead and take care of it for you. All I wanted, y'all, this is again dealing with sexual rejection. All I wanted was for this right here to be tended to. Can you speak to the disregard that I feel? Can you speak to that? Or are you going to speak to what you feel is the right thing to be speaking to? Can you speak to it? And if you can, then if you can identify and talk to my hurt or talk to my issue or talk to my concern, then at least address that or speak to it and then move on to what it is that needs to be spoken about. Mrs. JH said, what would have been an appropriate response? So an appropriate response would have been this. Damn, I forgot the meeting. I forgot that we actually had a conversation about this, babe, and I'm sorry. You mentioned that we had spoken about this and we had come to an agreement about I was going to do A, B, C, and D, and so I don't really remember like us having that conversation. And so I know you put time and effort into try to plan certain things, and so I appreciate that. This right here is a lot for me. And so I would really appreciate it if you can step forward and take care of this for me. It's all gravy. Like, you're at least acknowledging that we spoke about this before, and you're not. And I don't even think that she was making it seem. I do think that she legitimately forgot. But again, if you acknowledge what it is that I'm lifting up, then I'm more inclined to give you what it is that you want. I'm more inclined to lean in. And so again, when it comes to communication being a way to deal with sexual rejection, you got to speak to the heart of the person. Speak to the heart of the person. And sometimes we make mistakes and things blow up because we make it bigger than what it needs to be because we get preoccupied with focusing on the minor details, the petty details, versus really speaking to the heart of the person. What does the person need? Can you discipline yourself to shut your mouth and listen and give them what it is that you need or what they need? Don't focus on what you need, focus on what they need. Can you discipline yourself and shut your mouth? And if you can do that, then what happens is that you end up, restoring the connection. And so that right there is something that's needed in order for you to deal with sexual rejection. Um, it's that whole piece around, again, speaking to the heart of the person, speaking to the heart of the person. You also want to look at emotional, not even emotional, but just root causes of the sexual disconnect. Root causes of the sexual disconnect. Like some people really be stressing over body image. That's a real thing. Father time is undefeated, y'all. We all getting older. So there's some things about you that you don't like. There's some things about me that I don't like. There's some things about all of us that we just don't feel comfortable about. And so again, if you got body issues, if you got past trauma that you're dealing with, if you got even medical concerns that are coming up, then these things right here can lead to there being some type of sexual disconnect in the relationship. And if that's present, don't just sit on it. Do something about it. Those things may lead to rejection, you rejecting your spouse, or even you feeling rejected by your spouse. Don't just sit on it, do something about it. And when I say do something about it, what I'm talking about is getting outside intervention, going to see a medical doctor, seeing a therapist, seeing a coach, getting some outside support to help you process and navigate through this rough space. But again, you're doing these things not independent of you communicating with your partner. A lot of times people want to do things in secrecy. And I know it's people on here who are guilty of that. And here's the piece. It's not to say that there can't be personal exploration first. I mean, that's healthy. I mean, that right there is all about a part of like having boundaries too. Everything that you do isn't what y'all should do. Everything that you explore and expose isn't what y'all explore and expose. Like have your own identity. And so I get that. And at the same time, too, once you start walking down a path, it shouldn't be a lot longer before he or she is being notified about the path that you're on. If you agree, type one in the chat. If you disagree, type two. Once you start walking down the path to understanding the root cause, it shouldn't be a lot longer before he or she is made aware of what's going on. We be holding on to stuff real tight sometimes, y'all. But you know what the source of that is? There's a lack of trust. There's a lack of trust in a relationship. And so, in order for you to rekindle and revitalize your sexual relationship, you got to rebuild the trust. You got to restore the trust. That's crucial. I mean, you're trusting somebody with the most intimate aspects of your of who you are as a person. I mean, ladies, you allowing somebody to penetrate you. That's very intimate. You have to trust somebody with the most sacred holies of holies. It's a spiritual experience. And so, if there's been any fracture in a relationship in terms of infidelity, even in terms of past traumas, like those can also influence and impact a person's willingness to trust you in a relationship, specifically when it comes to sexual intimacy. And so, if you've done anything to contribute to that, it's important that you apologize for past mistakes. And don't just apologize, atone. A part of atoning is taking action. Apologies without action are empty rhetoric. Make sure you take action. Make sure you commit to consistent behavior. And most importantly, make sure you offer reassurance that you're going to be there for them, that you got their back, that you're here to support. You're not here to create or cause pain. Another pathway, y'all, if you experience sex, we're talking about experiencing sexual rejection in your relationship, y'all. Before I go to this next point, let me just say this. Next week, starting on Tuesday, we got the King Me 30-day intensive for men happening. If you have not signed up, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go to kingmeintensive.com. Fellas, get your spot. The price will be going up tomorrow. It's currently 40% off. Go to kingmeintensive.com. On IG, you can type in level up, and I'll shoot you a DM. Kingmeintensive.com on YouTube and also the Blamley. Um, another thing that you can do, y'all, is in order for you all to address the sexual disconnect, if you're trying to increase the intimacy, you can agree on non-sexual intimacy. Slow walk it. Slow walk it. Take your time. I mean, sometimes rejection occurs because of timing. Sometimes rejection occurs because of pressure. And so if you make the decision to focus on non-sexual intimacy, then what happens is that, like, I don't feel overwhelmed by the experience. I'm here for it. I'm more inclined to do it because we're not necessarily going to do it. And so I'm more willing to, cuddle with you. I'm willing to kiss you. We can hold hands. We can take long walks. Doing all of this stuff. We can lay in a bed and we can touch. We can, so many different terminologies out here, but we can connect. We can dry hump. I don't know, but it's we can do these things and but there's no anticipation or expectation that it's going to be sexual intimacy taking place. Again, it's a gradual progression with the possibility of you all getting to a certain place, maybe not then, but eventually. The most important piece is that it no longer becomes, or you remove the aspect or the idea of it being a threatening experience from the bedroom. So just agree on non-sexual intimacy. This is how you can deal with the with sexual rejection. Another thing which I think is extremely crucial, and this is why I'm doing the King Me Intensive too, y'all. Um, Focusing specifically on men, but you want to make sure you prioritize your health and well-being. Prioritize your health and well-being. When you're not in a good space mentally and emotionally, then it can definitely impact your sexual desires. And so one of the things that you want to make sure you're doing is oh, it's okay, baby. My wife, she says, sorry, sweetie. I can't read it. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It's all good. But yeah, so one of the things I was about to read her note to me. But one of the things you want to do is make sure you again prioritize your mental and emotional well-being. When you do this, you can balance yourself out hormonally and create with the increased testosterone an uptick in your appetite. Exercising is one way to do this. When you're making sure you're taking care of your health, you're also managing stress. Cortisol levels, when they increase, they can actually reduce sexual appetite and sexual interest. But exercising can kick in that dopamine hormone and lead you to a place where you're like feeling that you're on that connection cocktail. You got the oxytocin flowing, and different hormones are kicking in. And so when this happens, based off of you actually prioritizing your physical health, it can be a way in which you increase your desire for intimacy. And so this is a way that you can actually confront sexual rejection by doing your own personal work. When you feel good about yourself, you're more inclined to be in a room with your partner. You're more inclined to actually get naked in front of your partner. When you feel good about yourself, and when you're able to physically move in certain ways, you're not concerned about putting your legs here, putting your legs there. You're not concerned about pulling a Charlie horse when you doing your thing. But if you ain't working out, then it becomes a chore. It becomes a bother for you to hold yourself up. And so again, prioritize your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. When you do that, then it definitely can jumpstart your intimacy. You also want to, when you're having conversations about sex and intimacy, make it a blame-free and a shame-free zone when you're having these conversations. Like, don't criticize your man or your woman. Instead of being critical, you can make some suggestions. You know, I see some comments on IG talking about physical attraction being an issue. It may happen. It may happen. As times change and as people age, it's the possibility is there where you may not be as attracted to your man or to your woman as you used to be. But peep this though. Sometimes it may be instantaneous, but then other times it's a slow crawl. And so if it's a slow crawl, what are you doing in the meantime, in the interim, to make sure it doesn't get to a full blown, all out, I'm not interested in you, you ugly? I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, and if you're not paying attention to him or to her to the degree to where you're actually expressing, like, I liked when. How about we go work out here? What about us changing our diets and doing this? If you're not making these suggestions, then you're just watching him or her run into a brick wall, or better yet, running off of a ditch, running into a ditch. Don't let that happen. If you see it, say something. If you see something, say something. But it requires courage in order to do it. He lost a ton of weight and grew his hair out in locks. I do not like locks. He got the right to self determination. So, aside from the locks, what do you like? That's one territory that I've been made aware of. Clearly, I don't want to mess with, like, my wife's hair. I don't want to make no comments. Like, she's I swear I've been scarred. I have. She'll yeah. So you talking about his locks, but fellas, I would not encourage you to walk down that lane. Tread lightly. Tread lightly when it comes to a black woman in her hair. So yeah, so again, but it doesn't mean that you can't speak about what you do like, but just be really careful about what you're saying you don't like. You're gonna get more of what you focus on. And so focus on the positive. Focus on what you like. And like, let's make that thing grow and expand. Yeah. So yeah, so again, in terms of the physical appearance, we got to make sure we level up, y'all. Do the work that we need to do. One thing that I've been seeing more of, and I haven't seen it yet tonight, but I'm seeing more of the physical hygiene piece. Some people just smelly, but you smelly because you ain't taking care of yourself. Are you stink? And you got to find a gentle way to express that. Whether it's your body, whether it's your breath, whether it's your butt, whatever it is. We got to be able to have courageous conversations about, you know, providing some oil, some deodorant, let's take a shower. But I'm hearing a lot of women speak to this piece, y'all. Speak to the fact that, as men, as we get older, we ain't caring for ourselves as much as we used to. And so, fellas, I'm encouraging you to tighten it up. Make sure you tending to yourself. Make sure you showering regularly. Make sure you're going to the doctor. Make sure you're doing gut checks. When I say gut checks, I'm talking about gastrointestinal stuff that might be going on. Like, just take care of yourself. I hear that. We cry together and bathe together. I love it. But yeah, it's important. And then, ladies, the same goes for you. The same goes for you as well. And I've heard some men complain about different scents and smells and stuff like that. But make sure you're prioritizing your physical well-being. My husband will not go to the dentist. He won't listen. One of the things that I would say is that I would speak about the impact. And in a way in which you're compassionate, in which you're sensitive, and not where you're trying to embarrass him. You know, because it's a sensitive topic, y'all. And so, you don't want, if your breath is stinking, like, you don't want your man to be coming to you saying that. You don't want your woman to be coming to you saying that. You want her to treat you delicately. She can say what it is, but be sensitive. And I'm a human being. I got emotions. And so treat him or her in the way in which you would want to be treated with sensitivity. That's important, y'all. Another thing that you want to focus on, I think I'm gonna wrap it up right here, y'all. But um, you want to make sure you're seeking professional support together, y'all. Seek professional support together and establish clear expectations and boundaries. So if you get clear about when y'all gonna do it, some of y'all don't like the idea of scheduling sex. Some of y'all don't like the idea of scheduling intimacy, but when you're clear about what the expectation is, then at least what you're doing is you're establishing an agreed upon time that you all can bring your A game to the table. So if you have not been doing it, and then you establish a time that y'all gonna do it, at least come together, do some soul gazing, do some knee to knee exercises, do some hand washing, do some feet washing, do some back rubbing, do some massaging, do some forehead touching, whatever it may be. Do some synchronized breathing. Like, you could do any of these things. And we take couples through these activities too, y'all, on IG. But you can do any of these things. And so if y'all agree upon times in which you're gonna do it, then what it does is it sets the atmosphere and it creates the environment for God to enter the room, as was said this weekend. So it's nothing wrong with establishing what the expectations are around that, but then also putting boundaries in place. You can't touch that hole right there. You can't put this right there. I don't want your hands or your fingers going here. Be clear about what the boundaries are. This is inbounds and this right here is out of bounds. Don't call me out my name. I'm not trying to role play with your ex. I'm just not doing that. Be clear about the boundaries, y'all. So again, you can have a wide range and a very fulfilled sex life where you aren't um being stopped by rejection. If you implement some of the things that I'm speaking about, and I would say namely it's revolving around communication. Just because you can't penetrate, it doesn't mean that you can't be sexually intimate. Sometimes people think that the only way to engage in sex is through penetration, and that's just not the case. Just because you can't get an erection, it doesn't mean that you can't be um, sexually intimate. There's a number of ways in which you can satisfy her. A number of ways. I'm Makai. Go ahead and type your question in the comments and I'll answer it, bro. And so again, I think that we limit ourselves based off of our limited understanding about what can happen and the uncertainties that go along with it. It's no guarantee. When I said that you can reduce the experience of rejection, what I'm saying is that it's not that you're not going to experience it ever again. My wife and I, we've been together for 29 years and married for 22. There are times when my wife, like last night actually, and this is right after the Usher concert, she was like, "I'm tired, babe." It was late. We got in the house at about like 1:30 in the morning. Um, so I know the Blamley want to know about my experience. So the Usher concert, y'all, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed myself. I was standing up a little bit longer than I thought I would be standing up. And for the fellas who are on here right now, y'all was right. They did have something for me. So I was happy about that. But even outside of that piece right there, the songs was on point, and we had a special guest come through, y'all. Number one, Bobby Brown was there, which was cool. We did a little sing along. But then outside of that, the GOAT, Stevie Wonder, was in the house, y'all. He came up and sang a couple of songs. Man, that right there was worth the cost of admission itself. Just to be able to see him in person, yo. Have y'all seen Stevie before? Type of one in the chat if you seen Stevie. This was my first. I had never seen Stevie before, but to be able to see him, he ended on a ribbon in the sky. Him and Usher were going back and forth singing different lines, and that thing right there was special, y'all. Stevie still got the vocals. And yeah, so he wasn't at my concert in New York. Yeah, you know, he said it was the last one in LA, so he's gonna bring out some special guests. Um Eighth wonder of the world. Yeah, he did it, Joe. Like Stevie, he was special. He was special. Yeah, it was an amazing experience. Just being in the room, connecting in with folks, and we did a double date with a couple. It was nice. It was really nice. But all right, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and put a pin in it. I'm curious to know about my wife's um choices in the 700 options they confiscate. Hey, one thing I was having an issue about was they be checking these women's bags. You know, I mean, you can't. But I was noticing, like my wife, she was about to actually throw away her bag. She was gonna throw it away because she didn't want to walk back to the car. And I said, I'll take it back to the car, but she was like, no, I don't want to miss the show. And so she started taking stuff out the bag and having me stuff it into my pockets and stuff like that. And then she folded her bag in half. But they be real particular about that. I was like, yo. But then when we got inside, I said, get this lipstick, get this eye stuff out of my pockets, and I told her to put it back in her purse. But like I said, it was a good experience. I definitely enjoyed myself. And yeah, Ebony, get your concert game up. Um, I wouldn't go back to see it. Not that I'm trying to dissuade y'all from checking out Usher. Um, I really liked I really liked Frankie Beverly and Ronald Isley better. I did personally. So it was a good show, but I like that show better. I'm just saying. In any event, y'all, as I said, next week, October the 1st, we kicking off the King Me Intensive. If you're a man that's in the room, you need to be in the room, y'all. It's going to be 30 days of us leaning in, doing our work, growing, and going to the next level. It's 8 a.m. Eastern. If you're on the West Coast, that's 5 a.m. Eastern. If you're trying to become a better man, a better husband, a better father, you need to get this work. You know what I'm saying? Like we can make excuses for anything else, reasons, and as to why we can't. But what about you prioritize why you should? And so if you're on IG, go to kingmeintensive.com or type in the comment level up. And I'll shoot you a DM. If you're on YouTube, go to kingmeintensive.com. All the fellas is over here on Zoom in the blame. I see we got some folks that's already signed up that's over here. But go to kingmeintensive.com. It was a trend. We did it in June. We did it in June, and 84% of the brothers that participated grew, y'all. You know, you'll see some of the testimonials on the page. Like, you know, it ain't no joke. So make sure you get your spot. I'm ready. And check this out. The thing that makes this different is that I'm not just leading the experience. I'm in the experience too. So it's not just about y'all, it's about me. And so I'm trying to become a better man. I'm trying to become a better husband. I'm trying to become a better father. And so I'm going to have my own accountability chart. I got some stuff that I need to work on. And so I'm trying to be better. And so when I'm getting up at 5 a.m., actually 4:30 to get on at 5 a.m. to pour into the brothers and to be poured into, it's not just about me saying like I need to help y'all. No. It's about me saying I need to do this for me. So I'm gonna get this work. And it's gonna be hard. But I'm gonna get it done. Y'all know when we did this in June, I lost 15 pounds in that month. Because I got that work. I broke an addiction that month, y'all. An addiction that I've had for like 20 something years. I broke an addiction that month. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I was reading every day, still been reading. It's this thing ain't no joke, y'all. I was thinking about doing a live stream about breaking that addiction too. I might do that one day. Um, but yeah, it ain't no joke. So if you a dude, you know, you should be in the room. So go to kingmeintensive.com or type in the comments level up. And we're gonna get that work. All right, good people. So let me go ahead and tap in with my wife and see what she had. Give her a hug and love on her. Y'all be easy, and I'm gonna get up with y'all next time. Peace out.